Let's see what it is exactly. I mean, a few things that can run well, and I was gonna say rhyme. Pond the Original is very confident in his rhyme, especially into other characters that he also plays well, like the Cruel. So this is a plan, a very specific plan that Rogue came with into this draft, and they're about to execute.
Yeah, I mean, their draft was so quick. They didn't even touch this bonus time. They barely even used the time allocated to each pick. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. So this is clearly a plan that they are coming into the series with, and that they feel like they can execute. And you can see now that Cloud9's, thinking about this last one a bit. Maybe they're sitting here wondering, okay, they clearly wanted to do this. We need to think of some way to make sure we can deal with it.
And Cloud9 are going to take their time here. Lyra doesn't really synergize very well with Cruel and Vox. I was going to say either Lance or Arden, because Finn is also immobile. They choose to go for Lance. We mentioned yesterday Gabe Vizul is extremely confident on this hero because he's so mechanically skilled, and he did a great job with it yesterday. They choose it again. Vox Cruel...
Cloud9, not to say that the draft from the side of Rogue doesn't have merits and doesn't have a way that it could win. I feel that they're going to need really good execution towards the early portion of the game. If they fall behind, they're going to be kited, they're going to be outmaneuvered, and it won't be until we get later into the game where Evolve can maybe even double Blast Tremor, gets an Echo, that I feel that they're going to be able to confidently engage these fights if C9 can kite them. If they do manage to get on top of C9, Old School will be obliterated, no question.
Oh, they're fighting for the Elder Tree, and it looks like it's going to go the way of Hammy, so he's happy to grab that. And he's got a large wave built up here in the lane that Evil's been holding for him. It was an interesting early rotations as Old School immediately went up to the lane and did his best to push that out. And of course, Hammy and Pawn went through that jungle and carry rotation early on here.
Yeah, Cloud9 deciding that they don't necessarily need to bring their laner in to be able to pick up that additional farm that we've been seeing out of this double, sometimes even triple jungle strategy coming up from teams that we are on update 2.8. And it's resulted in, not a huge change in goal, but it does mean that Hami is a little bit ahead in terms of experience. Now Old School will get punished a little bit.
Is there a chance that we see a CP Vox? Or did they just go double weapon?
I honestly don't know, because there's always a possibility, but we do have a fight here on this other trio.
Oh, there's always a possibility. I mean, the game could malfunction. I could start playing in here.
Well, no,
I don't know.
I'm thinking about it further. I think we see double weapon power, but who knows? Old School's a good enough player that you could make either of those strategies work out. Maybe they decide that going into double weapon power pigeonholes them too much in terms of damage type, and they're not going to be able to get through what could be a huge amount of armor stacking that would come out of Rogue. But we'll have to see a little bit further in. I mean, obviously we'll know after the next item. I think it ends up being double weapon power.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Gabe landing the Impale, Githian Walls, just warming that combo up there. Gabe, one of the best at getting those Githian Walls. Obviously, Evil doing his best to, land the Merciless Pursuits. You're not always landing them just to make a play happen, but he's getting those stacks up.
Yeah, we can see some clear difference. It's about 300 gold in Hami's favor. Some of that off of the jungle, some of that off of the stacked up wave. This is the third time that they've brought Hami in to just take that away. Actually, it went over to Pond the Original, so not getting the last hit on that one, but they've been very confident with just rotate in, body out the members of Cloud9. Don't even really allow them to position to contest that, because they're always a little bit ahead of the play on the rotation. Now we've got I Love Joseph sitting in this bush. Gabe Vizul shows, but he gets the Impale.
Yeah, he's on to Evil. Evil the one taking the damage. Githian Wall back. A lot of damage. Healing Flask out. Can Evil get out of here? Spectral Smite comes through. They chop him down. First blood, 3.5 minutes in here for C9.
Yeah, they have to brute force it a little bit, but they're going to go in a second.
Another Impale, Dead Man's Rush. Oh, they stun him out of the rock! Like Hammy turns. The damage coming through. Gabe almost going down. He'll just port Stunner out of here with style. Pawn just shows up and there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, that was I'd say the first one was forced and the second one was just well executed, because I thought that they might have gone a little too far off of the first one, but just landing that Githian Wall mid-air to get it knock Hami into the turret, I think that was just, they were feeling it at that point. There wasn't anything that could stop them from setting up such a good play. And now we see some of these items coming through. We've got I Love Joseph working on that tension bow. Isn't there just yet, but has the gold for it, so just needs to walk over to the shop. We've got the poison chip out on old school, so possibly going for the double tension bow, kind of the older strategy for building out Vox. And we'll really just look to stack up that damage over time, let Gabe Vizzle line him up and have old school knock him down.
Yeah, it's going to be huge burst of potential coming out. Already, they have a lot of damage ready to go for this team. Gabe has his fountain, Evil has his own fountain. It's Rogue sitting a little bit of a level disadvantage in the captain position here. Pawn, he's had his level 6 for a while. He's moving up here, has that Valkyrie ready to go, but you have to be so clean with the targeting.
Yeah, they also have to get close enough, and that's always going to be a challenge when you have a player as good as Gabe Vizzle on a lance. The Githian walls are usually there. Now, maybe they feel confident starting that up with Hami, but Eval doesn't have the Blast Tremor yet, so you're missing one of those key teamfight ultimates, which means that there's still a bunch of time for C9 to kind of push some of the advantage they have. They've managed to catch up in terms of gold. They've got really good positioning here. They're not going to get a bunch of free damage onto this turret, and for the moment, it seems like C9 is dictating the pace, even though the game looks very even.
Yeah, and Hami's going to have that long cooldown on that rocket leap. He gets up there, gets the last hits, and should have a moment, so it's not going to actually be trouble for him. But the cooldown on rocket leap's a big deal. Like, if your opponents see that, a lot of times you saw him try to rocket leap out of the engagement. If he doesn't have that available, it's going to be a lot easier to kill him.
Yeah, and even if he does have that available, depending on how his positioning is, the side of C9, they can continuously chase. I Love Joseph seems very confident in his ability to go underneath the turrets. When you've got kind of a no-fear strategy going here for C9, and confidence in their team capability, but in their mechanics overall for all of their players, you have to be worried about Hami stepping too far forward. Even once we're not even dealing with the turret, just depending on his positioning, he has used the rocket leap again to get back into the lane a little bit faster. I don't think the members of C9 saw it, but they may find a surprise because they're more than willing to get aggressive.
Oh, they definitely are. We can see, when they turn up, they really go full speed. For me, Source, I think the wild card here is Pawn the Original. Like, it's going to be up to Pawn to kind of get in there, land some disables, sustain through the damage, and at this point, it's like, what Hami doesn't have the damage. He's got to get some overdriven abilities now. Joseph caught out, another stun. Joseph's in a bad place. Gabe Vizzle with a nice Githian wall. Wavefort's going to come through, an impale over the top, but they've lost I Love Joseph. Now the chase is on. So who would they go for? Old School seems to be the target. They got the big red button on. Nice. Gabe knocks him out of there, so it won't connect fully. I don't think they would have found the kill anyway. Combat roll over the wall. Rocket leap forward. Hami. Gabe Vizzle right back over it. He lands a two-man impale. Who is this guy? How does he do it? I don't know. He's got the Githian wall. He lands everything.
Perfect mechanics, and I love that Githian wall that just push Hami from the side, realign Hami's targeting computer for him, decide, you need to be a little bit more to the left, and that sets up a good play for them. Now, I Love Joseph did get engaged on at the start of that, so we were talking about Pawn the Original. We'll see what kind of X factor he can be. We'll see what he brings to the table. Pretty good rhyme play, but that was them catching C9 out. They were able to pick up that one kill. Let's see what happens when it's a little bit more of an even engagement piece. Even within that, I Love Joseph was kiting in and out of that fight. He was sitting on top of all three members, juking them left and right, and still outputting damage and surviving. Imagine if he's doing that with a full health bar.
Yeah, it's true. He did have the healing flask, so if they catch him with that off cooldown, that's going to be a big deal. But Gabe, man, dropping down that Githian wall, peeling for him. It's true what you say, though. If he comes in with full health, especially if he's able to land one of these ultimates. Let's see. C9 move up as a unit. Rogue are there as well. Two-man impel to start things off. Joseph, dead man's rush onto Pawn. Wait for it. Comes down over the top. Another stun, but Pawn's still alive. The fountain comes out. He's going to drop the Valkyrie as they turn and look to reverse it. Everybody stays alive at the end of it. But the big deal for me is C9 holds on to their fountain.
Yeah. That's huge. The fact that they didn't feel that they necessarily had to commit that's nerves of steel from Gabe Vizzle. And item-wise, Old School has picked up that Sorrow Blade. He also picked up the Poison Shiv, which means that I Love Joseph doesn't need to. He can now go into that breaking point, pick up that additional damage, and then can start to tank up. So that, slight sacrifice on Old School's late game carry damage will let I Love Joseph get closer to his mid-game, late-game build, and then maybe Old School decides to sell that later on to pick that up. So you know, that's not necessarily what they might have been thinking of, but it's an interesting result and allows for them to be able to do some things in this team fight. Here we go.
Rogue may have made mistakes. Let's see if they can clean this one up. Joseph's in here, old school, doing what he can. Sonic zooming around. They've got the damage. They take down Hammy. And now Pawn, you're in a bad place. They've traded 1 for 1, but they're probably going to lose Pawn as well here. Just a matter of time. Is he going to take Game down? No. Game actually lives through it with a healing flask right at the end. Evil forced to watch his team just fall down there. Now, I was thinking C9, or that was going to be a bold move if they went for a Crystal Sentry there.
Yeah, nothing that aggressive. All right, let's take a look at this one more time, because a couple of interesting things happen here. So Pawn, the original, survives an incredibly long amount of time and almost finishes Game Vizzle, but Hami is forced to jump towards enemy territory, and then they all group up. This is a triple melee composition, more or less. Yes, Pawn, the original, has a little bit of range, but it's such a problem that even though they're able to dish out consistent damage on the I Love Joseph, they all had to stack to do it. This let old school kite around the side of the fight, pretty much stay full health the entire way through, apply lots of damage, apply that mortal wound, and be able to reduce all of the healing that would have come out from the side of Rogue.
And we're 10.5 minutes in here, 4-2 in favor of C9. They have a small net worth advantage. Also, just gonna throw this out there, I think it's Hammy. I heard you say Hammy.
Hammy.
We'll do it. I was letting it go just in case he died. And I was saying he needs to call us mommy, but we'll let it go. He's Hammy. I think Hamuel Jackson when I see Hammy. But yeah, of course, just a monster beast. He's got the overdriven Thunder Strikes at this point, ready to crit. He's building into the crit, probably another 1-second item now. Old School's gonna throw the wait for it to come through. They've already used their block. Oh, the stun comes out. They block out the blast trimmer. Now C9 are turning up. This is the C9 we know and love, and with this, they should be able to take any objective on the map that they want.
Yeah, and that's the first clean from Hazard that has landed. Good stun onto Old School, solid damage. He tanked up a couple tower shots there.
Yeah, he did tank up those turret shots. Oh, Old School goes down. Way too many turret shots there. They take Pawn out. They traded 1 for 1, but C9, I don't think that was the play they wanted.
I think they just didn't break the turret aggro. Like, that's all there is to it. Old School thought he had broken the turret aggro, decided to jump back in there, put on some more pressure, and Turret said, "No, I still see you, friend," and fires off a few more shots, finishes him off. So, slight misposition. He now has his breaking point, so those stacks are definitely going to be building up. I think he just finished that before, right after he died. I Love Joseph probably working on the same. So, the longer these fights go, the more damage that's going to come out from the side of C9. Question is can they survive? Because although they did open that up with a really, really good fight, we can see there's still a lot of damage from the side of Road.
A lot of damage indeed. I mean, a weapon jewel is insane burst potential. That is not sustained damage. Now there's a case to be made for, I guess, for like a breaking point build occasionally, but up against this Vox, I'm pretty sure he wants to just burst him down, but he's a little bit behind right now. He's gonna throw out that big red button. Gate Thistle lines up for the impale with that combat roll. Yeah, he was like, I think I'm gonna get out of here. I do not like what's coming down the pipe at me right here. C9 almost taking Hammy out, but still as a unit up here in the lane. Pawn ready to play games. Pawn, what's the play here? A 2-man impale. A nice silence coming out from Evil, and Evil is going to move back in. Evil, he went for the second one as well. They're getting lit up. Hammy just blown up immediately. Now they're on to Old School. Can Pawn stick to him? He's got the chill ones. Yes, he takes him down. Pawn, don't think you're going to get out of here. Look at the sustain. It's so good. So good at sustain. Now Joseph and Gabe, they're like, you know the turret's on us, but we don't really care. We're pretty tanky indeed. Evil playing games with them, trying to buy time. This turret will be going down, Evil. Not much you can do about it, bud.
Yeah, needs to be careful about possibly getting killed himself. If Gabe Vizzle lands enough good crowd control, they might be able to do this.
Oh, he got an echo. Oh, I got one too. And he's gonna move forward. Spectral Smite's gonna come through. Oh, Evil calculated a beautiful mind. Somebody make a movie about it.
Well, he does manage to survive that one, but it's still C9 in clear advantage. They're about 2k gold up, but the Farmhouse Hearts aren't really connecting onto the right targets. They keep getting reflex blocked. Now, that's going to happen over the course of the game. It's going to be difficult for them to land them consistently. However, they need to kind of worm their way through the enemy composition. The last team fight they had up in the lane before that tower went down, where they were able to really land that from House Heart and get that initial pick, they kind of held it. They wormed their way through. I Love Joseph kited his way up into the backline, got Hammy down reasonably low, and then secured that kill with that additional stun. So maybe they need to take a little bit more time on the engagement. Yes, Gabe Bizzle wants to go pretty deep and dive the enemy line team, but Old School might be in trouble here.
Old School throws out the wait for it. He Sonic zooms right back forward. They're on to Hammy. Hammy trying to trade. Old School lives through it though, and he's getting breaking point stacks here. Up on the original, drops the Winter Spire. Another Sonic zoom. Old School will go down. Joseph's there. Gabe Bizzle as well. They're able to get a double kill. And you see they're splitting them apart so well.
Yeah, although I do think that Old School is getting really, really aggressive with his kiting to try and pick up the kill onto Hammy. He gets it pretty much every time, but afterwards, Pawn the Original is able to hunt him down on run, and he has to kite through the team. He hasn't really been able to kite around like we saw with that earlier fight down by the item shop. That was great because he just stayed right on the outskirts of everything. These last few times to make sure that they secure that kill on a Hammy, he's put himself into a little bit of a dangerous position. Now, maybe as he finishes up some of his armor items, he'll survive a little bit longer, but we see good wait for it, but he goes right through the enemy team. Yes, there's the Sonic zoom there. Yes, he shortens that time it takes to do that, but every single time, Pawn the Original manages to find him. They're winning the fights in the end, but it could be a little clean.
It looked like, in that replay, like Evil was playing into a mirror. Like, as he moved back, like, Gabe was mirroring everything he did, and I didn't realize in the fight how much of that was on Gabe Bizzle to completely peel Evil away from his team. But when Catherine separated, he can't pull that stun out and peel for you. He just, everything falls apart. Such a nice play by C9. They're gonna move as a unit up through the left tri-brush and impale blind into the brush. Gabe Bizzle, bold plays there. Would have looked good, but they're not gonna find anybody.
I mean, I'd say they have more than enough damage to be able to safely engage that. Old School's pretty much at full build. Gabe Bizzle seems pretty tanky. Does look like he's going for maybe an aftershock to give himself a little bit more punch when he does manage to land those impales. And now they have started up here onto the Kraken. I'm almost positive that Rogue has an idea this might be happening, but they do not feel confident going in there. And actually, maybe they don't know because they are farming. They're not even considering the contest.
Yeah, that was a free Kraken now. C9, they don't have the best push composition from playing from range, but they have that burst, right? So if they can bait one of Rogue into position as they're trying to take this Kraken down, maybe they can go for it here. I don't know, how do you see it playing out?
Gonna be a difficult dive. Last time we saw them dive even with one person up. It depends on how they play the initial aggro. From House Hearts aren't landing all that cleanly, so it has to be off the impale.
All right, Hammy getting lit up right here. They're going to go ahead and move back. They block off the blast trigger. Nice job by Joseph to get in there, pull a little bit of aggro, and then move right back out. Old School just jumps right back in with the Sonic Zoom. Look at the huge stun up against the turret. They delete Hammy, and now they're looking for more. Kraken is still healthy, and she is mad. Gabe lands the Impale Pawn, moving back, get the wall, almost finding the stun. Gabe looking for another one. He finds another one. They're there. They have the damage. Couple breaking point stacks. Oh, and C9 lulling all over Rogue. They're gonna take this choke point turret down as well. Evil dies out towards the east side.
Ace.
And 13-5, 17.5 minutes in. C9 take the ace, and they're in the base.
Delayed from House Heart is working every single time. They held it for a while and managed to get Hammy. It didn't last for that long, but then Githian Wall into second Githian Wall. This play from Gabe Bizzle has been great. And C9 will be able to close this one out.
Yeah, I think so many big ultimates we see. A lot of emphasis put on the Echo, but the Echo on Lance is so OP with the double Githian walls in the hands of Gabe Bizzle. That was a beautiful thing. Well, from our perspective, it looked like C9 in game one. Let's see what our analysts think about this one.